getting the hang of this, man.
You are. Put me up there first, though. I thought, wait, you're going to leave me out there for a little while?
Yeah, that I'm in control, so I'm like, I'll let Skip be the first one up on the screen and let everybody just stare at his pretty face. Oh man. I've been warning people that this quarter was coming, and I still don't think people get that we are in fourth quarter.
Yep.
It's not about me too. I'm like, okay, it's October coming up, and like I talk about this all the time. It's like you got to be cognizant of your annual cycle, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, it's October 1st. What am I going to talk about in the newsletter today? I'm like, holy crap, it's fourth quarter. What else am I going to talk about? As well as, and my wife works for the government as a clinical pharmacist for the VA, and she's like, oh, new budget cycles here, and she's talking about getting ready for that and all the meetings they have to talk about where things are going. And I'm like, yep. I mean, that's the beauty of having a calendar where you're observing things, is that now like she and I are even on the same cycle, right? Because now she's on the annual cycle of the government, and I'm going to be talking about that this week. I am aware of it. I am ready to go with it. And we were planning this 3 months ago, actually back in June. I think we talked about it the first time. And so that's the advantage, is that you're prepared. You don't get caught off guard. And so when your clients are talking about, if you have government clients, they're like, oh yeah, everything's changing here. Or maybe they're government contractors for people, and you're supporting them. Now you know that they have extra money to spend because they have their new budgets.
Mm-hmm. Well, to just hit home, the Q4, this doesn't apply to everybody, but for some of you out there, this is going to hit pretty hard. Talk to your spouse about what the family schedule looks like for Thanksgiving and Christmas. All right. And you're going to immediately start drawing some lines through a lot of dates on the calendars and blocking things out. And quickly after that, you realize, wow, this is really kind of hard. We can't do this because we've already scheduled this, and we can't push it back any further because there's not enough time, and it all starts to hit really hard. So yeah, we're in that cycle, and this can be really, really hard. I mean, no minute like the last minute, right? But
I would say instead of just asking your spouse, I'd say impress your spouse by start talking about November and December now.
Yep.
And then be like, now it's not this last minute, oh, when are we going to squeeze in what we call it Christgiving, right? Yeah. It's the Thanksgiving Christmas combo where we have to travel to this large family gathering. And you all need to realize that here in the Midwest, we have big families, and I'm talking massive. So I came from a family of 20 people, and my wife came from a family of, well, I don't know what the number is now. Her mom was like one of like 10 or 12, and her dad was one of 7, and they were like Catholic and Lutheran. So like bunnies out there. So just the family gatherings are these big events. So you basically have to take a weekend and say, I'm going up to Omaha, I'm going up to small town Nebraska, and I'm going to spend the weekend. And so it's a coordination where people are trying to figure out which weekend to do it. And you might as well combine both events, because otherwise you're just shot for the rest of the holiday season.
Yep.
And I don't know how it is with you guys in the East and West Coast or larger cities, but it's hard to coordinate all of that. And usually we wait till like mid-November. It's like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and we're thinking, oh crap, Thanksgiving's coming up in 2 weeks. What do I do? Yeah. Well, what if you planned it in August? What if you planned it in October? Like, oh, I'm just not that guy. But what if this year you were?
My wife is. And so, I mean, it was probably July even that conversations started, and they've been ongoing. And so now they're ironing out details. And here within, I think we've got a couple other things we're going to have to figure out here in just a few weeks. We'll have, the remainder of the year and all these things that we're going to be hitting up kind of planned out. And, we'll switch. I mean, something always happens, you got to adjust here or there, but we've already got the big milestones, my sister, working with her schedule, we already know, all right, up front, we already know, what are the things we can work around. So it makes everything else so much easier. And this process with our customers and the projects and the things they have going on, the craziness in their business. If the more we know ahead of time, the better we can accommodate in the instance, in the moment for where changes come up.
Yeah, and so when I'm talking about annual planning, I always talk about how do you kick off this annual quarter. And that's kind of the catchphrase I need to throw out there is annual quarter. We actually did a podcast this week. I'm going to post it down here in comments for everybody if it works. Is how to get out of analysis paralysis. This idea that every year a lot of you come up and you're like, I forgot. I know I need to get out of firefighting mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so Skip and I covered that as a topic on the podcast. It's on, I just posted it, the podcast versus the YouTube, and I'm sure Rich will create some reels. Feel free to comment out there. I want to see which of our social medias are picking up in StreamYard since I can't see you all.
Oh yeah.
I see people watching.
Yep.
But anyways, the concept around this fourth quarter annual, let's call it the annual quarter, is that we use this fourth quarter for strategy planning. And I highly recommend you grab a hold of this concept, whereas every year in October, you're going to start putting a bow on your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than focusing, so first quarter is architecture, second quarter is services, third quarter is risk. You should have if you have followed that, you know that this fourth quarter, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You should have a CISO persona built. And you should have these meetings scheduled with your clients so that you can be top of mind. So all the big vendors are advertising about all of the cybersecurity things. You're going to see a lot of news about cybersecurity. You're going to see a lot of free publicity around cybersecurity,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to be having meetings with your clients on cybersecurity. So great way to save on a bunch of marketing, and use that to talk to your clients. And you can wrap maybe even your annual into that meeting. We're going to talk about, hey, let's talk about next year and ways we can improve. And so, hey, while we're meeting for cybersecurity, let's also talk about next year. One of the things we need to do is meet on a regular basis. Can we schedule out our 4 quarters next year? What day? Like first Monday of every quarter, first Thursday of every quarter? What's it going to be? And I will get it on the calendar. So you use this quarter for strategy planning to set yourself up for success next year.
And that is, an important element. And we still hear it. And it's a reality. Getting some of your clients to show up to the meetings is the hardest part of the entire engagement. Getting them to confirm to a date and not reschedule it on you at the last minute. So, but we talked about it a lot, so I won't get into it all, but you can do things to lessen that, making the meetings more engaging about what they want to be. They'll be motivated to get there, but start now. Start planning those. Starting out January, everybody is in a new year mindset. All right. Now, if you look at our quarters, January needs to be architecture focused, but we've got 3 months to work with there. So you may, as just a suggestion here, you may want to take the first 2 weeks of January and do just strategy meetings. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's close enough to Q4 of the last year. They kind of connect there. And that gives you the opportunity to tap into that interest of, hey, yes, we want to do a strategy meeting. And then you get to close out that quarter, more towards the end of those 3 months around your architecture focus. But all that being said, if you want that first week in January meeting, you better get it on the calendar now. Because if you try to convince them to put it on your calendar in December, they're going to go, yeah, holidays are, my wife just told me everything we got to do for the holidays. I'm going to be wiped out that first week. Let's do the third or fourth week. And now we've already started the push. Let's do it later cycle. Head that off now. Get it on your calendar so they can look at it and go, I've already got my IT guys scheduled for that first week. And they're telling someone else they'll have to reschedule based on what you've done. And don't be the rescheduled one. Be the one that already has it on the calendar.
So I like to use the phrase, and we use this during the budgeting cycle. If you've listened to us in October, was first to the table is the first to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Your clients are disorganized too. Some of your clients are super organized, and that's great. And they will really appreciate you coming in and talking to them about next year, getting things done 3 months in advance. They will appreciate that. But when you say, hey, I want to schedule out next year, what day of the month of the quarter, the first month of the quarter, first Thursday, they say, yes, that'll be fine, because they know they don't have anything planned out more than 82 weeks, just like you.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, oh, we have our team meetings the first Monday of the month. Like, cool. I want to be the first Tuesday of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you want to meet right before that meeting. So you feed them their information, make them look good. So when you're first at the table now, as Skip said, like, oh, I already have my tech guys scheduled for that Thursday. I have a standing meeting.
Yep.
You now are part of their culture. And that is a good thing. That's why we have the fourth quarter strategy sitting out there, is that you need to have and be part of this. You need to be mature enough to get ahead of their calendar. And then now they are going to think of you first.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were first to the table. You're the first person to get the slot.
Yep.
You're the first person that they think about, because you have a plan. You are mature. So it's the same concept in any herd or a pack of people on a playground or in a conference. Strongest personalities tend to get circles around them.
Mm-hmm.
And people are attracted to people with a plan who have confidence. And you got to be that MSP who comes in with confidence, not around technology, but around planning. Like, hey, if you say you're super confident with firewalls, they're going to kind of go to the side because they don't care about that.
Right.
What they
or they don't understand it. Hey,
let's talk about budget.
You would be important in something that they understand. They understand their business.
They care about profits and they care about risks.
Yep.
And not technical risks. That's part of it, but they care about risks to their company.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? Next year, we need to meet the first quarter of every month to talk about your budget. And we're just going to give you a quick overview, because if you use our product, you see that you have a budget that automatically gets created every quarter. It gives them an overview of what's coming up. And then as you're meeting with the client, you can talk to them about opportunities. Hey, you know what? There's been some really nasty attacks going on. We would like to upgrade your security to this. We'd like to bring in, like a new tool that we partnered with last fall, and it'll help mitigate this big risk at a lot of companies. Maybe there's some big hacks out there.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, look, for another $5 or $1 an endpoint, we can cover this problem. Okay, let's do that. And
and you need to be
why you have those quarterly meetings to stay on top of it.
Right. And that we need to establish a baseline. So, a good security posture is just a requirement now. But as you stay, and so you need to get that established. But as you stay in tune with your clients, and next year, a big vendor that they use that supplies, whatever part of their business has some gigantic vulnerability, and they're now at risk because of their vendor's exploit. You can come in and say, hey, you guys have a good baseline, but because, your vendor has put you in this position, we probably ought to do something a little extra in this area. And that is a much easier conversation to have than coming in and going, hey, we read that your vendor got hacked and these are the problems. We can fix that. But first, you have to do all these other things. All right. And now you've turned a minor or, just a very small, maybe, or a specific enhancement into a huge project plus an enhancement.
Yes.
That's going to be harder to do, just flat out.
You don't have to do anything today other than when you meet with your client this quarter, ask if we can meet regularly, the cadence cycle. And we'll talk more about that later this quarter. I believe it's on our roadmap if you check the events calendar. And that will open those opportunities that Skip was talking about. Like, then you can do those little things where you say, hey, let's add this on to give you the extra features that you need. And you'll add it in context. Yeah. You can't get context if you don't meet with your clients and listen to what's going on this quarter. So one of the things you need to know about this quarter is, like, dealing with government clients or government contractors, is that now they're like, they're feeling good. It's like January for them right now.
Yes.
So that feeling you have in January, it's a fresh year. You got all this hopes and dreams. I know, because you guys talk to us all the time in January. Yep. All these hopes and dreams that you're going to go forward with, all the new goals have been kicked off, and you're hoping to get there. Your contractors and your government clients are thinking this way.
Yep.
And so what you want to do is line up in strategy sessions and say, hey, look, I am excited that you guys are kicking things off. Let's talk about this next year. Let's talk about the next 12 months. You should have done this in October. So I'm telling you right now, get on your calendar and put a reminder in for 2024 October to schedule these meetings out. Just put that reminder in right now. Don't even think about it. Just do it. And what'll happen is next year you'll be prepared in October. Right now, you should already have those meetings with your clients. If you don't, you still can try to squeeze them in and say, hey, look, it's the new fiscal year. I know you do have a lot of government contracts. You just got to win there, by the way, by knowing that they had government contracts. And I want to help make sure that you're delivering your goods to these people. And so you're going to make that a topic. You also can use this month, as I said earlier, to talk about security. So what we have is we've done a couple CISO personas, and we've kind of shown them off at a couple conferences. Let's see if I can remember how to present here, Skip.
Well, while you're bringing that up, so kind of one of the steps that conversation works out as is you talk to them. All right, so the budgets got released. You probably got the final approval, the final numbers on the contracts that they're winning, they're working on. And what you begin to do then is use that budget module to plan out their expenses. So if they come back and go, yeah, we got a really big one, but they push that from Q2 to Q3. All right. You get to jump in there and go, oh, okay, well, then do we need to take our project that you had scheduled in Q2 and push that out to Q3? Or do we need to push that up? Is there something you need for that? It goes all different directions, but having that in context conversation with your client is going to make you part of the process. And if they look at that and they're like, yeah, we need that, but that the contract's pretty big, we probably ought to start go ahead and planning on making that project. Let's push it out one quarter, but we're going to need to make it a little bit bigger. All right. Because we did really good on this quote or whatever. They've got more cash. I mean, we get into the flow here of where we're helping them be involved in their cash flow. And if they've got cash, many times they'll spend it. All right. It's just the nature of it. So even me, all right, anybody who knows me, I am ridiculously stingy. I'd like to say that I'm, just, I don't know what's a nicer term for it, frugal, but sometimes I'm just a tightwad, right? Like my pool. I gripe about my pool all the time too. If I need chemicals for my pool within a few days of me, getting a paycheck or something coming in, I'm like, sure, we'll just buy that. But if I'm running at the end of kind of my little financial cycles and I need chemicals, I'm either pushing them off or trying to find a cheaper option. You extrapolate that out to your clients pretty easily. When you talk to them, when they have a lot of cash, you're going to get much, much more buy-in and progress on your quotes than when they're, shaving pennies trying to make payroll.
Yeah. So by being in front, like I said, first to the table, first to get paid. You don't want to be the last to the table where they're trying to shave pennies with you.
Yep.
You want to show them that you're helping them along the way. So like, here's the CISO dashboard. So it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You can easily do this, or you can take these widgets here, go over to your persona, and open up that quarterly business review persona that you have built. Add in those widgets as cybersecurity. So you're going to go ahead and open this up, and you're going to add in your widgets in here to talk about that during this section down here.
Yep.
During issues and action items, or current quarter, you're going to talk about like security projects and things that are on the table, as well as what do you want to do next year. It's that easy to prepare for Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It's that easy to integrate something new into your QBR. We want you to be able to do that. And if people are interested, maybe we should make the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 QBR templates.
Oh,
just
a good idea. Yeah.
4 personas that everybody gets. It's right in there, and away you go. But the idea is that now you have something to talk about, and you can extend it, and you can talk about the budgeting. You can say, where are we? How is this looking? Do we need to trim this up? Do we need to expand this? Hey, we saved some money on desktops. can we push that into maybe a work from anywhere strategy? Can we increase your service level to 24/7? Can we do something for you? Because usually in a corporate budget, I know that I look at it as, oh, you saved me $10,000. That's $10,000 I can slip into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with government people, it's use it or lose it. They want to spend up to the dollar of what they requested. I mean, the penny. Because if next year they come in and do the budget request, because I know I work for government entities, they say, what did you do last year? And they try to look and see, is it within 7 to 10% of what you spent last year? So if I spent less this year, I come in. So I had $120,000 in my budget. I've spent $100,000 on IT, and I go back to my CFO and I say, hey, I'm going to do a budget of $130,000 this year. The CFO is going to you only spent $100 last year. And then you have to spend all this time justifying it. And we're lazy people. So what I do is I say, oh, I saved $20,000 on this project. I move it to something else. I spend more on some other cost center that I have. And I say, well, and I'm not doing it out of like greed or out of malice but just benefiting me. There's always something else to buy. There's always something else I need to work on. I can now do this project. So my cost center was $20,000 for security. Now it's $40,000 because now I can get the next level of security. So next year, when I do my budget, that next level of security for $40,000 a year is in my budget, and I'm going to ask for $10,000 to $20,000 more. Now, my budgets were much larger than that, but you get it. The math is easy. Now, when you show them what's going on this quarter and you save money and you show them, hey, since we saved you $10,000 here, we highly suggest we upgrade your firewall to be able to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's going to allow your employees to be this much more secure, or it's going to make this compliance initiative easier for you. Mm-hmm. And so that is how you play the government budget game. For those of you who are not aware of the internals of government budgeting, it's a great tip, a great way to help your client win and help them look good so that they can continue to improve. And you can put that in your budget here. Just put that down here like, hey, we saved $50,000. We went to $40,000 was the actual on that. And what we'd suggest is, see here, we've got any $10,000 projects here. Oh, we can actually put in that, how you've been like having trouble with your file sync? We can actually fix that with OneDrive. Let's go ahead and get that implemented. And that way you're covered for this and that. Or let's improve your backups so that next time there's a blizzard, you can work offsite easier. We can move you to that site. Whatever the thing is, like you can scroll down this list and find something that's high priority for them and get it on the list. Hey, we can do this now.
And that's actually a really interesting, practical piece to that is when you have that extra money in their budget, you get to talk to them about that. So that project roadmap is really cool. You can bring that up. You can highlight the items that you want, and then you get to ask your client, let's talk about what do you think we ought to do? And you can always give your opinion, but they're looking at going, that came up in the board meeting last week. I think we should probably do that. I'd look really good if I come back to the board meeting next quarter and I told them I fixed that problem. All right. Rather than just acknowledging that is a problem. I found, they get to begin with it. They get to say, hey, I found money in our budget. I managed to get this resolved. They look great. You were able to do more projects and still spend all the budget money. So there's a lot of ways to do this, but at the end of the day, it's collaborating with your clients. It's having these conversations.
Make your clients look good. Listen to them. What is their pain point and how can you solve it? Which of the things from this are going to work on there? So when you're doing your issues and action items in the QBR, especially in fourth quarter, because what's going to happen is you're going to get through these and they're going to be talking about their next year, especially amongst government contracts. They're going to be talking about this next year. Everything's already approved. But you're going to be looking at, okay, if we might be able to save you some money here, what's going to be the and? What else can we get done? If we save you some money on this project, can we slip in another project? Mm-hmm. And then get that prepared. Put the note in that project. Open it up, put the note in, and talk it through. And you want to get this in there and to talk about it in your next meeting. And this way, you're going to have a great next 2024 with your government clients. And then you're going to maximize your delivery by having this conversation and including cybersecurity. Maybe make it a 90-minute meeting
Mm-hmm.
so that you can get in the scheduling next year. You can get in those questions about, hey, which are our additional projects? If we can save you some money on some of these projects, like if you can save money on hardware costs, everybody knows that services have better margins. So is there a service you can sell them next year? Like, hey, we really need to do a heat map for your sites. People have been complaining about wireless dropping all the time. It was a bunch of your tickets last year. I really want to do a wireless survey. It's about $2,000. It'll take us a day to do, and we'll come back and we'll be able to give you a plan for implementing better Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So these services you can put on as an addition. So when you save money on hardware, get a better deal through Dell, then you can put onto a service. Some of you will just not tell your client you got the better deal. I guess that's okay if that's the way you do business. But what I look at it as, I am very honest with my client. What did we actually spend? And now that I've saved money, we didn't have to buy 6 other PCs. Let's go ahead and move that into a service.
Right. Yeah.
So,
again, I know a lot of you thinking, well, why should I have to pass along a good deal? I'm in business to make money. Right. Which one are you going to make more money off of? Getting an extra couple of points on margin on a hardware deal, you're still at the end of the day, the client's still sending a specific, a measurable amount of that money off to somebody else. You're only shaving, slivers off of that.
Yep.
Why not shift that money, that cost savings, to something that you have really high margin in? And that way, the majority of that all comes to you. It's the same amount of money out for your clients. They've already got this in their budget, but you're just, changing where that money ultimately ends up. Does it ultimately end up in Dell's pocket, or does it ultimately end up in your pocket? And
yeah,
I think you want it to end up in yours.
I like the concept, and I've been saying this for a while. I know I'm a heathen for saying it, is going without warranties and just improving your services.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? We're going to go warrantyless on our Dell PCs because we never use them, or when we do use them, it doesn't save us any money. So we're going to do an increased level of service,
Yep.
or, hey, you don't need to buy 6 more PCs because those positions at the company no longer exist. So they're being depreciated fully, and then they're not being replaced. Well, that's, $8,000 you're not going to spend that month. That $8,000 can be pushed into that wireless heat map project. It can be pushed into that NIST audit. Whatever it was you were going to do that was a service-based item. So in Q2 of next year, when you're talking services, you can put that on the table. Say, hey, look, because we helped you with so many efficiencies and we helped you go paperless, you no longer need to hire these people to process all of these paychecks or these inbound mail because you're paperless. You don't need to hire them and have 4 other laptops. Let's use those cost savings to push into increased services for your organization. That's where you're getting this from.
Yeah.
And these need to be on the table. It has to be something that they want. And so when you're meeting for fourth quarter, you're talking strategy. How does 2024 look? And then you're adding the context of cybersecurity. And then for your government clients, you're helping them understand the and. Yes, we saved you money, and we would like to do this for you to keep the budget at a level. Because they're playing a game with their budgets as well. And if you help them be a hero, if you help them look good, then they're going to keep doing business with you because they know that Bob or Mike or whoever is working with them, they know that Mike understands and is going to give them a leg up when it comes to talking to their CFO.
Yep.
So
think about your own business. I mean, obviously, like we've been saying, we're nearing the end of the year. Look back at everything that went well for your business this year. All right. There always seems to be a few things that just fell into your lap, right? You're grateful for those. That was awesome. But out of those aside, the things that went well for your business this year, 9 times out of 10, it's the ones you started planning on last year. All right. Yep. And if you didn't have very many of those things, it's probably because you didn't plan much last year. So if you want 2024 to look better, you need to start planning now.
Yep.
And so that's the emphasis here, is to set yourself up for future success by planning these engagements, planning these processes out with your clients, so that when you get to the end of 2024, you're able to see a lot of things that went well. And it wasn't dumb luck that got you there. It was your management and your direction being intentional about your success.
What is it? Luck is when preparedness meets opportunity.
There we go. That sounds good.
Can't remember what the phrase is. But yeah, I really like this week. I know we're in fourth quarter. Even if you're in firefighting mode, you can be successful. You can start getting those meetings on. It costs you no time almost. Next time you talk to your client, get the meetings pre-scheduled, and next year will be better. And in the year after, make sure that you have the one more thing. Just keep listening to this annual events calendar. I see a lot of you out there, you're being quiet for some reason. Usually people are heckling us. I don't know what the deal is. But get this going. Start with, if you have nothing, start with the cadence. Start with a plan for next quarter. Get that on the calendars and you'll be okay. Speaking of strategy, a little house cleaning here. We are increasing our rates on November 1st for the first time in like 3 years.
Yeah.
So speaking of strategy and making your budget, I am terrible at doing that stuff. So tell your friends if they're on the fence of getting on board with you and the clients and coming and joining the community, this is the month. You know, they can lock in the rate for a full year if they start this month. So tell your friends, maybe you need to renew, but it's been great. It's just a small raise, but you know, you got to talk to ConnectWise and a couple other people about their API fees on that one.
There we go. Yep.
So please reach out if you have any questions for your annual cycles. Get plans with us. Let us help you plan out your QBRs. We have some cool features coming up, and this is going to be a very exciting quarter. I'm going to try a new outro here. Skip reminded me to do it. It's just one of our usual commercials, and maybe we'll have a unicorn one in the future.
There we go. A very
you,
unique
everyone.
New unicorn.
A new unicorn maybe next week. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
See y'all.